Cleopatra's story begins long before her birth, when in 323 BC, Alexander the Great, the famous conqueror, died from unknown causes, leaving his empire to an uncertain future. To deal with this giant power vacuum, his generals decided to split his empire among themselves. The Egyptian area of his territory was given to Ptolemy, a man known for being reliable and careful. His claim to power marked the beginning of Ptolemaic Egypt. Generations later, around 69 BC, Cleopatra VII was born as a child of Ptolemy XII and Cleopatra V. It was likely that her parents were half-siblings. There's not a lot of records of Cleopatra's childhood. However, she lived in luxury as a child. She lived in Alexandria in a home with lush gardens and a zoo. She was also very well educated in everything from mathematics to languages, in which she knew 9. When her father died in 51 BC, Cleopatra, at age 18, and Ptolemy XIII, her 10-year-old brother, took over the kingdom. They were probably also married. They inherited a bad economy, famine, and floods. At the time, conflict arose between Cleopatra and Ptolemy's advisors, who supported her brother. So, Cleopatra fled to Syria, and to take back her throne, she formed an army of mercenaries and started the Egyptian Civil War in 49 BC. During the Civil War, Julius Caesar's rival, Pompey the Great, came to Alexandria looking for refuge. He was killed by Ptolemy XIII, who welcomed Julius Caesar instead. Cleopatra saw Caesar's presence in Egypt as a massive opportunity. She reportedly snuck into the palace most nights to convince Caesar to help her take back her throne. Caesar agreed if Cleopatra would pay off the numerous debts accumulated by her father. They fell in love, and Caesar, now the most beautiful woman in all of Egypt, and Cleopatra had enough military muscle to overthrow her brother and become the most powerful leader in Egypt. She eventually defeated her brother, who drowned in the Nile River, and Caesar gave the throne to Ptolemy XIV, Cleopatra's younger brother of 13, and to Cleopatra, who was not popular with the people for taking sibling rivalry to a new level. But she was the dominant ruler between herself and Ptolemy XIII. Caesar remained in Egypt and gave birth to a son with Cleopatra. Then he went back to Rome. Around 45 BC, Cleopatra traveled to Rome to be with Caesar. But when he was assassinated a year later, Cleopatra came back to Egypt again. Ptolemy XIV was killed right after, possibly by Cleopatra's agents, which made her new 3-year-old son the new co-regent. This meaning she was the undisputed boss. But back in Rome, Caesar's allies Mark Antony and Octavian were in a political and military slap fight with Brutus and Cassius, Caesar's assassins. Both sides asked for Egypt's support. Cleopatra sent 4 Roman legions under her command to Mark Antony's side, marking the end of Brutus and Cassius's chances for victory. Mark Antony, one of Caesar's allies, summoned Cleopatra to the Sicilian city of Taurus to clarify her role in the conflict that happened after Caesar's assassination. And Cleopatra made an entrance. Dressed in robes resembling Isis, an Egyptian god she supposedly had a strong connection to, in an elegant Egyptian ship, Mark Antony fell in love with her and left his current wife and children to be with Cleopatra. Mark Antony and Cleopatra returned to Egypt with Mark Antony's pledge to protect Cleopatra's throne from another sibling Cleopatra was in conflict with. This time, it was her exiled sister, Arisone. But Mark Antony was forced into a political marriage with Octavian's sister after his ex-wife died, which he rejected for Cleopatra, who he had another son with. He returned to Egypt with a celebration that put Cleopatra's arrival in Rome to shame, and rejected his political wife and named his son with Cleopatra, Caesarion, the heir to the Roman throne, which angered Octavian, who claimed Mark Antony was under Cleopatra's influence. During the war that broke out between Mark Antony and Octavian, Octavian pushed Mark Antony and Cleopatra back to Egypt, but they had been separated. Mark Antony caught wind of a rumor that Cleopatra had committed suicide. But as the news was arriving that this rumor was false, Mark Antony killed himself. Upon hearing the news that her lover had committed suicide, Cleopatra did the same, using an asp, and a very poisonous Egyptian snake at the age of 39. The political web of Cleopatra's reign is twisted. Egypt was prosperous, despite a pair of famines. Her story has been reinterpreted by writers and filmmakers alike for Cleopatra's notable power in such a male-dominated world. Though wars, both civil and abroad, she was able to hold Egypt together until her death.